call this meeting to order. It is 4:30 on May the 12th. So we have a review of the minutes. Do I need to worry about this being very far away, or is it okay? Perfect. Okay. So we need to review minutes. If everyone has had an opportunity to read those. And I'll entertain a motion for approval. There you go, Don.
I'd make a motion to go ahead.
Actually had the fact that they just second said 200. They were super excited. We're continuing to work on setting up summer reading, working on some partnerships for the art in the park. I'm still waiting on the system of care grant for the teen outreach programming. I get an email every few weeks saying that it'll be here by the end of the month. It's always the end of the month, whatever month that is, apparently. So that is all I have for unfinished. Any questions so far? On to semi-new.
I'm just curious, how old are the children that have done the 200?
They're about this tall. Probably around 3 to 4.
Oh, just little ones.
Yeah, siblings.
Okay. Okay. Should be 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's nice that they learned early to love books.
Yeah. And it's funny looking at the logs. Probably half of the last 100 books was the same book.
Oh, was it?
They were what, Megan?
It was the same book.
Oh.
I always think about that. I don't know, you guys probably, and this is beside the point, but I remember when I first learned to read in first grade, and even to this very day, I remember how excited I was when I realized that you could put certain letters together and you got a real word. So I always think that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll go on to
new business. The Lynn Libraries Consortium, we had our library directors meeting and we met at the Lebanon Public Library. It's the first time I had been there. It's the first time Eric from Albany had been there as well. So we had a tour of the building after meeting. It was a good meeting. It's good to get all of us together and talk about everything that's going on. There was some hope from LBCC that they would get part of the timber settlement money. But like 2 days after that, when we had some ideas of what to do with it, that's when the court struck it down. So we don't need to worry about that anymore right now.
Yeah.
Until it keeps going. Our circulation continues to go up. On the 26th is the highest circulation day that I have seen since I've been here. We had over 300 items check out that day, which keeps us moving a lot. There's no downtime that day. I spoke with the Albany Democrat Herald about Albany going fine-free. They had a piece in their opinion column about it. They were definitely for it. And then like 5 minutes later, Benny came by to do an interview that was in the New Era a week or so ago. It was just kind of funny how fast that was. Like Benny called me in the morning, set up the appointment, but then 5 minutes before he showed up, Albany Democrat Herald called too. It was popular that day. Collection updates. We've reviewed all of the collections since I got here in August. And now we're looking at some minor moves of the collections, continuing to move them around for better space, better growth for the collection, and then kind of some of the better access that some of the patrons have been asking for. One of the main things with the better access is patrons have been wanting a separate large print section. So we're working on figuring out a way to do that. So a lot of our large print, some of them are standalone fiction titles, which we've pulled those out and have a separate large print section for those. But a lot of our large print fiction is part of a series, and not the entire series is in large print. So right now we've decided to keep the series together. So it's not ideal, but it's kind of an in-between step. And people are happy with the large print we do have kind of being together. And the circulation, I think, has gone up a little bit on that as well, because it's a little more highlighted that we do have standalone novels in large print. And then we're able to, with our budget, as we find books that are damaged or just old, falling apart, we are better able to find them when they come in or find them on the shelf and replace them as needed. So that's one thing that had been, when you have no budget for buying books, which happened several years ago, that it kind of don't replace the books. And so now we're having to go find those, and patrons reporting them, or just us finding them and replacing them if they're checking out still. So the whole collection, I think, is starting to look a lot better, a lot more new things, and that's why I think circulation's definitely going up, and people getting back out and doing stuff in the community. Any questions about that?
No, but I have a question, Megan, about your tour you did at a library at Lebanon. Other than space, what did you see over there that we really should have, something that would make the operation totally more effective as far as our library is concerned?
I think one thing that they do have that we don't, that we really need, is a large meeting room, a separate meeting room from the rest of their library. And they're also working on a covered outdoor space for story times outside. They have a little patio right now, but they're working on making it covered so they can do story time year round out there. But I think that would be awesome. But I think the thing we need the most is to have a meeting room space. So we could have community meetings there. We could have our story times there. We could have programs there. Right now, the space that we have is within the teen room. So when there's a meeting or something going on or a program, the teens can't really have access to their materials, which is fine when they're in school. But if they're not in school, they need a place to be as well. I know story time does take place in the children's area, but that would always necessitate moving the furniture that's there, moving all the toys out. So that's a lot more work on our end. If we actually had a dedicated space that we could do a lot of these things in, that would be great. They also have a fireplace, which is nice in the winter, but that's not a necessity.
Well, our winter so far this year has been it's going to end up to be about 11 months.
Yeah, it would get a lot of use then. That's one of those things that's just really nice, but not an absolute necessity like I think a meeting room would be.
So I had a question about that as well. So you meet with the other librarians once a month? Is that or every couple of months?
Meeting every 3 months.
Oh, just 4 times a year.
Yeah. Part of that has been, I believe they met more often than that previously, but with COVID and all of that, it's just kind of fallen to the wayside. and all of us are understaffed.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's harder to get
Yeah,
away.
to get away.
Like Harrisburg and SIO, they're one person
Right.
is it.
Right.
And even Eric in Albany has been having to cover the desk sometimes, as I do sometimes here as well.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just harder to get away for all of us. And I think both Lebanon and Albany are working on hiring some more staff to help there. So they'll slowly get back to. Everyone's hiring right now, as you all know.
And so also just as a point of information, the meeting room was definitely an item that was highlighted when the architects came and made a report. And
Yeah.
so, there were a lot of things that they highlighted, not the least of which is we do need a new library. But so just wanted to make sure that got put in as part of the story.
I believe their building is also earthquake safe, which would also be nice.
Right.
Yeah, it's my list of priorities. Okay, on to building issues. The only main thing we've been having a big issue with is ants. The exterminator came by for a third visit to try to get rid of them. We believe they're in the flower beds that are outside. So they're just being a pain. In the building updates, I added some no pets signs to the doors. This will better help us respond to people bringing in pets, not service animals, because they always want to see a sign or something. Not to say that when we ask them if it's a service animal, they're telling us the truth, but it's a start.
Is that true of this building as well? So I'm just looking for consistency in the city properties.
Yeah. Most public buildings are service animals only.
Mm-hmm.
We ordered new toys for the children's area. Our very popular little fire station toy had been broken. The walls were collapsing on it. So that instigated us buying some new toys for the area. That's gone over well.
Would you explain, Megan, what that fire toy was?
So it was a 2 or 3 story fire station that kids could play with. They had a little helicopter pad on the top.
Okay. I know what it is.
Yeah. So we got a slightly smaller version for a lot less price, and also it's a much higher quality construction. This for the smaller one. It's already been very popular, especially for some reason whenever the sirens go off, that's kids want to go play with the toy too. For our passive programming, the craft table that we have out is going really well. We had a craft out for Mother's Day, making some pipe cleaner flowers. People of all ages have been doing that and creating their own crafts. Sometimes it's a flower, sometimes it's not. But whatever they want to create is good. For Earth Day week, since Earth Day was like on a Friday, we gave away some sunflower seeds with little pots and dirt pods. I think we ended up giving out about 100 of those. So that was very popular. And I got a variety of sunflowers, so we'll see what they look like when they start sprouting up all over town. There's some like dark red ones and not just the typical giant Russian ones. We had activity sheets and coloring sheets out for Easter, Earth Day, and Mother's Day. This week we're have some make your own dinosaur crafts to, and then starting next week we'll start having stuff out for Father's Day. In-person programming, we had our first in-person program. So the community reads discussion for braiding sweetgrass. I know a couple of you were there. I think everybody had positive feedback about it. Dave, who ran the program, had a great time. We're looking at doing another book discussion towards the end of August, kind of as a wrap up for summer reading for adults. So if you have any suggestions for a book, please let me know. We have some ideas going, but nothing picked out yet. Any questions about any of our programming? A new building. So I met with the Community and Economic Development Director, also known as Blair. I met with him to identify some possible properties. I think I'd done that like a day or two before our last meeting, so I'd mentioned it, but he's looking at potential floodplain issues with any of the sites, because as you know, there's water everywhere. But right now it's all falling from the sky, which will be good for the summer though. And then I had a conversation with someone from the state library about possible funding opportunities with grants, foundations, and possibility of federal funds. So now I have a list of things to look into, so I'm doing some more research about some of those. One of the possible federal funds, which would be really good, it still hasn't passed the Senate, I believe. I think it's passed the House, but it's been stalled in the Senate for like a year, so I don't have hope that that's going to work. That's on the federal level, not state.
So what was the follow-up with your meeting with Blair in terms of he's looking at properties, but when would he be getting back with you?
Probably in the next few weeks. Staff has been working hard on some other stuff, but we'll see about floodplain, some good potential properties, and then we'll go forward from there. We still would have to get a recommendation from you guys and then go to city council and all of that. I know Christy knows the process a lot better than I do.
My question on that is there a time or when we are going to be privy to what properties they're looking at? Since evidently the old City Hall property is no longer being looked at.
I believe after we have a new city manager in place, that then I'll set up an executive session with the city council and have some discussions of where they want us to be along in the process, and then we'll kind of go from there. The problem with saying like where some of the properties are is this is just us dreaming. We haven't even talked to property owners necessarily yet. So I don't want to put something out there if like the person that owns the property hasn't even said yes or no.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting process.
Yeah. I'd like to stay, personally, I would like to stay on the same side of Main Street that we're on, and then be somewhere along Main or Long Street, kind of in the downtown core.
Yeah, that's my concern, is that I feel very strongly about wanting to keep it in the downtown corridor, not bringing it all the way out here.
Yeah. It would make my commute much shorter, but
yeah,
that's not the ideal situation.
It's yeah. So I'm going to be real interested to see what they come up with. So
I hope all of you would be.
I take it no one has contacted Joyce Guile with regard to the property that I mentioned.
Blair looked at the size of that property, and it's probably too small. But I don't think he's contacted anybody.
Oh, well, no, because I was at a luncheon today and she was there and she said nobody had contacted her. But I don't know, but there's 2 lots there.
Yeah.
So they had ample parking as well behind it. I just like the idea not only of having it downtown where it's accessible, but also where it's very visible to the people.
okay.
So yeah, it's could be on the list, but I believe looking at the size of the square footage of the property, it was a little bit smaller than what the architects were recommending from the needs assessment plan.
Yeah, I don't remember the size of the lots, but they're pretty wide and they go down in one back of the other.
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely something we can keep on the list too. So any other questions from my brief activity report.
I guess just a question, is there anything salient that you need? As a very general question, but anything that you need that we know about or that we could help you get?
Donations for a new building?
Yes, that's always on
Sure.
top
Yeah,
of the
we'll,
list.
we'll write a check.
Yeah. Or just donate some property, yeah.
Yeah.
Just some direction of if there's anything that you guys would like to see done. Now that we've kind of, at least I've kind of dug out what I call dug out of the hole that we were in of not being able to buy newer stuff and kind of replacing a lot of that. And now we're looking forward to the new building, just kind of looking for more ideas of what you guys would like from me, what you'd like to see in the report, or projects you want me to work on and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Or ideas for a community read book.
Yeah. Okay.
Little to big, all of that. I get to be Brandon as well and do the budget report. The only thing he told me was that I'm doing a good job of spending the money.
He said what?
Said I was doing a good job
Oh,
spending money.
that's good.
We're finally catching up on some of the bills. I've gotten a few in the last month or so that are on a little bit larger side that for some reason, one of them was due last July. And they just now were able to track somebody down to send the overdue bill to. A lot of this has to do with a lot of the bills were going just directly to Rose, which is completely understandable. But now the companies are saying, wait a minute, we haven't been paid. And so now they're looking up and getting new information and sending that along. So there was 2 bills that were, I believe, over $5,000 for our online books. And one other one that I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Totally legitimate charges that we should have. They're just would be due in July, and we hadn't paid them yet. So that's why some of this jumped up a little bit more this month quickly. We're at about 70%, almost 70% spent for the year with only 2 months left. So I think we're still in good shape. And that will let us set aside a little bit more for any changes that are coming in the next few years, but also a little bit more towards a new building fund. Okay, back to being me, unless you have questions about the budget that I probably can't answer. Any questions about any of the statistics? I see that checkouts did go up a lot. Are there any statistics that aren't here that you would like to see?
I think it's pretty complete myself.
It's nice to see the library so much busier.
Yes.
And it is looking, I hesitate to say neat. I mean, it's just nicer, it's cleaner.
Yeah.
Which is not a slam about anybody, but it's just, like all of us, when we start moving things around and cleaning things up, it always, well, I like my craft room.
And sometimes just not having the shelves completely packed
Right.
really gives it a little more open feeling. And that's no dig at anyone. That's just, if you have no money, kind of hold on to what you do have. But now we're looking at, well, what is actually checking out and then replacing some stuff that needs to be replaced. Right. That is all I have for anything. I don't really have any new business or unfinished business that I hadn't mentioned in the report. But again, if you guys have any direction for me, that would be great.
Just a really quick question. Have we heard anything more from that inheritance that we were thinking, or Brandon was thinking we would get some more or?
No new updates. So the last update was after tax season closed, then taxes were supposed to be paid out of the estate for the property, and then we'd get the final check. So I'm guessing, I'm gonna say by the end of the year, we should
Yeah.
get the other half.
Okay, I just happened to think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, does anyone have anything else that we need to discuss today?
I was glad to see the circulation up as high as it
Yes.
was.
Keep coming in and checking out books.
Have you found that there's been any problems with the way that they're doing the homeless there, that, when they're having to leave at 7 o'clock, I think, in the morning, don't they? And is that causing you any problems?
We just had one morning with some issues. It was a very rainy morning, and they all just kind of came over to our doorstep. And then I had no problem contacting Chief Lynn. He came over and talked with them. They were just incredibly slow about then moving on, but they did move on. And then Public Works came and cleaned the area.
I just was wondering, my husband and I were down by there one day, it's 2 or 3 weeks ago, not too long after they had started doing that. And we noticed that there were, at the corner of the library over by, what street is that?
Kalmaya.
Kalmaya. And in the front of the library, and then kind of up in one of the little seats there in front of the library. And I kind of wondered if that was going to be an issue or a problem.
That family is still around, but they are mostly staying over in the far side of the parking lot.
Oh,
Across the street.
that's a family.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
I
I
know- I
went
noticed that
into
as well.
the
Uh,
library, Wednesday, I think it was, why that whole parking area was filled. I mean, there wasn't any place to park, period, that whole thing.
Yeah, Tuesdays we're incredibly busy. We are incredibly busy. We have the ukulele players coming in at 3:30 to play, and that's our busiest day every week. So
Yeah.
if you want to see us busy, come by
It's on Thursdays,
on Tuesdays
Tuesdays.
around 3.
Oh, okay.
We're usually kind of packed, which is really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have anything else. Does anyone else? If not, it's 2 minutes till 5. We will.
I do have Christy here if you have
Oh,
any questions
Christy,
for her.
do you have anything to say? Sorry.
I forgot.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christy Worcester. So nice to meet you. I'm your current city manager pro tem and plan to be here approximately through August. Just want to say hello and thank you for the great work that you're doing in our community. We really value your opinions and am looking forward to your input on the future library. Just as far as the city manager recruitment goes, we've been through the initial review of the applications, and the first round will be held later this month on May 26th, I believe, followed by the second round of interviews with the finalists, and we'll have a community meet and greet panel that'll be held here at City Hall. We hope that you can come and participate in that and meet the candidates that will be serving your community in the future. I'd just like to compliment Megan on a job well done. I've really seen some positive changes at the library under her direction. And like you said earlier, it's looking great. I think that the circulation is up because of the work that she's done in getting new materials that people are interested in reading. And so want to congratulate her on the work that she's doing and look forward to moving you through the process. I think in reviewing the meeting from last month that you did talk about the $100,000 that's budgeted for an architect in this upcoming budget. And how I envisioned that money being spent is really once a site is selected by the board and the council and community, what you would do is you would start with an architect design. I think they call it a schematic design, which is just essentially what it could look like, not the full blown design. And then you would use that as a marketing material for your grant applications and or to market it to your community if you go out for a GO bond and asking the voters to support a new library. So that's kind of how I've seen it done in other communities. There's other options for that as well. I was just talking today about the Sustainable City Year program through University of Oregon. They have architecture students there. And when I was serving in the city of Silverton, we had the architecture class come in and present different options for a 70-acre piece of property that the city owned for future development. And it was amazing all of the different types of things that the students presented to the community for consideration. So that might be another option that you could explore in looking at potential designs for libraries in the future, participating with the university on that. But it looks like it will be a fun project. I wish I was here to see it through to the end, but when you do that final ribbon cutting, I'll come back to Sweet Home and say hello and join in the celebration with you.
Hold scissors.
Yeah, there you go.
I think probably beating a dead horse. The frustration for us is we've already been through that process. We've had the architects, we've spent the money to have them do a study and did all of these things. And we thought we were well on our way to having a new library or going to that next step. So now we've started all over again. It's going to cost more money. So that's my biggest frustration. I can't speak for anyone else here, but to me that seems a little wasteful, but it's, you know, it's been done now, and I don't know what you would do to mitigate that, but and that's not a slam to anybody that here, but that's my frustration, is that we've already been through all of this. We like the architects, we like the plans, but then suddenly it died. So here we are.
I'll have to get a background from Megan on the location and the details of that, and look at that with her.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I concur with your comments on that.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight, Christy. We appreciate that. And it's good to have you here. And I'd gotten to meet you one already at the library. That was nice. And so if no one else has anything else, we will adjourn at 4 minutes after 5.
Christy, did you go to school in Sweet Home?
No, my husband